Hi everyone. Today I will share a book with you about the role of the global supply chain and global connectivity. This book makes me to start seeing things from a big picture, and more importantly, from a global view. The author of the book is Parag Khanna, a global strategist and a TED speaker, who is also the advisor to the National Intelligence Council and served as senior geopolitical advisor of the United States Special Operations Command in 2007. The book is called Connectography, Mapping the Future of Global Civilization. Throughout this book, the author has listed a large number of cases through his visits to more than 100 countries over the past 20 years. Because of the infrastructure construction, an interconnected global civilization is forming in reality. In this process, global civilization has undergone a tremendous reshaping. Globalization is now part of our daily life. In fact, geopolitical conflicts are weakened on a global scale. Countries are more willing to obtain economic benefits through cooperation. This transformation has laid a good foundation for the promotion of the status of cities and regional alliances. I'll go through this book from 3 key points. 1. The supply chain has begun to become the focus of economic development in various countries. The future competition among countries will no longer be the competition of military forces, but the battle of supply chains. While the supply chain has brought tremendous development opportunities to the world, it has also brought many adverse effects to the world, and the most prominent is the ruthless plundering of world resources. 2. The rise of supercities and regional alliances is differentiating and converging the world. 3. Happening at the same time, a global civilization integration represented by immigrants is taking place, and interconnection has begun to profoundly change the world. Let's take a close look on each of these 3 parts of the book. First of all, the establishment of the global supply chain and the emergence of the supply chain world. Well, what is the supply chain? To put it simply, the supply chain is the way to deliver products and services to whoever needs them. The globalization of production and services drive the emergence of global supply chains, and the author therefore calls the world today a supply chain world. One aspect of the supply chain world is the development of global infrastructure. With the development of global transportation, communications, and energy infrastructure, for example, the highways, railways, airports, oil and gas pipelines, power grids, and fiber optic cables are reshaping the future. Those improvements make the countries from isolation to interconnection. The borderline on the map is no longer a solid line of segregated reality, but a collection of holes that foster trading opportunities everywhere. Infrastructure forms the foundation of a global system that connects both ends and entities along the way. For example, the recent Belt and Road project is aiming to connect the Eurasian continent as a whole. The other aspect is the rapid development of digital infrastructure, the most important of which is the rapid growth of the Internet, which constantly breaks the boundary of virtual world and the real world. The Internet is connecting the world much closer. Remember the old glory days of magazine shopping or phone shopping in the last century? Because of the continuous development of traditional infrastructure and digital infrastructure, the supply chain world is becoming more stable. For example, we are sitting at home today. If we are hungry, we can easily order some takeaways through the mobile apps and wait for the food to be delivered. We can know which restaurant has Chinese food and which one sells taco. We can also know which one is more popular and which one delivers faster. All these sorts of information help us make better choices. It also helps the restaurants to get more valuable feedback and hence boost overall economics. However, the author also points out that supply chain world also has its negative impacts. The most obvious one is the increase of the gap between the rich and the poor. Globalization has also led to inequality within a country, where urbanization has further aggravated the inequality. Urbanization and inequality are the dangerous mixture, and inequality will inevitably lead to the rotation of the aristocratic order and class struggle. Secondly, the world structure is changing in terms of decentralization and convergence. Well, what is the global decentralization and convergence? Decentralization means that under the globalization, the power and influence of sovereign states and global multilateral institutions, such as the United Nations or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, will be weakened and decentralized, while correspondingly, the power of influence of super cities and regional alliances will grow significantly. Convergence refers to super cities and regional alliances that will expand their influence through connections. Super cities will try to form their own metropolitan coordinating regions or establish their own special economic zones, while regional alliances will strengthen their connections and cooperation. Why are there decentralizations and convergences? The author believes that with the deepening of globalization, geopolitical conflicts are weakened on a global scale. People are more willing to obtain economic benefits through cooperation. This transformation has laid a good foundation for the improvement of the status of cities and regional alliances. With the continuous expansion of the global supply chain, cities can cross the country, directly connect to the outside world, seek mutual complemented benefits based on comparative advantage, and attract external investments through a series of incentives. Such autonomous behavior of the cities can provide better goods and services to the local area, promote local economic development and local stability, thus achieving part of the national functions. This behavior of reducing the burden on the state also makes the country willing to make decisions on decentralization. For example, for a large city, modern urban transportation has greatly improved the efficiency of work. The high-density commercial center has attracted the influx of countless people. At the same time, too many residents flow into the supercities. There will be serious economic problems such as soaring housing prices, traffic congestion, environmental pollution, and so on. These problems inevitably require the city to build alliance with other cities. For example, many supercities have shifted traditional manufacturing factories to remote, low-density cities, thus subdividing the industrial structure and optimizing urban space and resources. In the meantime, many satellite cities will be built around super-large cities, pushing people into the surrounding cities and connecting people and cities through fast and convenient public transportation. Thirdly, more immigrants have led to changes in the demographic structure of the world's countries and civilization of the world. The global process of ablation in genetics is accelerating due to global connectivity. The increasing number of global immigrants has reached the historical peak, and the flow of these people has brought the population integration. For example, Japan is the country with the highest degree of aging population in the world. In 1965, every 9.1 adults in Japan needed to raise an old man. In 2012, this number became to 2.4 adults to support one old man. By 2050, it will become to 1.2 adults per old man. The most immediate consequence of aging population is that the burden of Social Security is becoming much heavier. Japan has the highest fiscal deficit rate in the world, and its fiscal deficit is more than twice their GDP. However, more than 30% of fiscal expenditure is spent on Social Security. Accelerating the introduction of immigrants has become the key priority of the Japanese government in order to change its demographic structure. On the contrary, after President Donald Trump took the office, his immigration policy is undoubtedly against the trend of globalization. Conservative policies on immigration have been complained and opposed by many Silicon Valley companies. An immigrant country says no to immigration. This anti-historical behavior is likely to bring huge losses to the United States. For its neighboring Mexico, President Trump's attitude is very unfriendly, as the wall is a major anti-immigration measure. Trump's trade reforms are aiming to bring manufacturing back to the United States, pay more taxes to the United States, and bring more jobs to the United States. However, in the global supply chain, United States plays the main role in the high-end manufacturing and service industries. These kinds of approaches are likely to lead the manufacturing industry to return reluctantly, and not achieve the desired results eventually. This book emphasizes the importance of interconnection. In today's world, connectivity determines the future of the country and global development. The country controls and dominates the supply chain will gain more power. Infrastructure construction, international trade, urbanization, integration of civilizations, and the internet all indicate that the global interconnectivity trend is irreversible. Now let's sum up and summarize the three findings. 1. The improvement of traditional infrastructure and rapid development of digital infrastructure form the global supply chain. The supply chain world ruthless plunders of world resources and exacerbates global polarization between rich and poor. 2. Decentralization and convergence are the dialectical process. Supercities and regional alliances are the subject unit of decentralization and convergence. 3. Global connectivity has led to the emergence global of civilizations. Immigration has become an important part of many countries and has profoundly changed the country. I hope you enjoy this video. If you have any questions or feedback, please leave your comment below, and also make sure you subscribe.